Welcome to Beyond Six Figures, the podcast that helps business coaches to micro-niche, get noticed, and become fully booked. Learn from top industry leaders who've successfully taken their businesses and their lives beyond six figures. Get ready to level up your coaching business and make this world a better place, one business at a time. And now, here's your host, Ziv Raviv.
Hello and welcome to Beyond Six Figure. Today with us, we're joined by someone who doesn't just help business owners grow, he helps them design freedom. Homy Dayani-Fard is the founder of Growth with Purpose and a partner at YWH Ltd, where he guides entrepreneurs through the challenges of scaling, succession, and ultimately exiting their business with intention. He's also the creator of the Business Freedom Framework, a powerful methodology for business owners who want to build companies that thrive without them, freeing up their time, energy, and future. Whether you're a solo coach or building a small team, this framework offers practical, high-impact tools to grow your business and prepare it for whatever comes next. Homy brings a mix of strategic insight, deep empathy, and hands-on experience, and today, he's sharing exactly how to structure your business for freedom, legacy, and long-term success. So if you ever wondered how to scale without burning out or how to exit without regret, this episode is for you. Hello, Homy. How are you?
Hello, Ziv. I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm excited so much to talk to you. Your work on helping people exit through the BFF framework is interesting for me, especially because, you know what, I focus a lot on coaching. I spend many hours one-on-one with a coaching client, and I've kind of created for myself a full-time job in a way, right? Where I have something that I do that is tied to like a relationship specifically with me. And while I'm growing and I'm fully booked and I'm happy and I'm making people's lives, I make an impact, it's hard to imagine an exit strategy. And that's something that you've been working with businesses and as a coach yourself. So I want to start by asking you, what is your exit strategy?
It is very interesting because when I say exit, people always think of it as terminal. That's it. It's the end of the world. But if I may, I just want to say how this idea came about. There are lots of different strands, as some people have commented that I have such a diverse, or whatever you can say, I couldn't make up my mind what to do. So I've worked as a computer scientist. I was an academic. I was a researcher, product developer, an IT consultant, strategy consultant. I worked in private banks. I focused on wealth and asset management. Lots of different things. And along all of these, I was an educator, a coach, and a mentor. The main of it is it was culminated when somebody asked me about work-life balance. And I said, it's probably the misnomer of the industry, because what happens is work occurs in our life. It's not outside of it. The question is, how do we balance our life to has all the different aspects, and which the idea of the exit came about. The idea of exit, or the business freedom framework that I talk about, is that freedom occurs when, whether it's your career or your business, serves your life, not the other way around. So it's trying to balance your life. And in order to have that, you should have a plan that at one point, this business or your career will not be part of you. I have worked I've been a career coach for a very long time, and I've seen people go through their career and they come down. And the question is, and this is a crucial thing, is that it comes from, it's a Buddhist thing, which is die before you die. So I always say exit before you exit. So it's the idea of becoming detached from your business. So the business is a tool to help you. How does that happen is that when you consciously look at what would my life be when all is said and done. And it's not the idea of just being depressed or anything. It's just that to be able to actually be free to plan it and with all your gusto and energy go after it. So coming back to your question, and you asked, what is my exit strategy? I actually am trying to build a set of tools and set of methodologies that can actually run without me. So, for example, I've been very active user of AI. I don't like to just brag it to people, but I'm building my knowledge base into my models that actually can help people. So the idea would be eventually to have a very clear company when people can leverage technology as a point of reflection, but for the empathy to actually talk to people. So I'm more interested in coaches that can leverage technology for the technical aspect, but bring the empathy. Because I always say to people, you can sit down and talk to the AI. It didn't experience your pain. It can analyze, it can mimic, but it doesn't have those scars. We still like to have someone. Empathy basically means to suffer with, meaning you have already had those battle scars. And that is a very important relationship. But that is not 24/7 part of a coach. That's why I like the idea of coaching, because I come and touch and I go. So I work with my clients usually once every other week. We have a touch point, but the rest of it, they're working on their own. And I encourage them to leverage technology. So when I come, I bring the empathy to just encompass all the technology that goes around it. So my exit plan is to build that.
And how much of your time do you actually put in? Like, how much is it like a visceral part of your day, of your week, to implement those frameworks, those systems for a potential future of an exit?
Right now, I spend about, like everyone who runs a small, because I'm a startup, I just started this new incarnation of the business. Most of it goes on the outbound marketing, trying to generate leads and sales. And people come to me, offer me to take it over for me. I said, well, we'll generate leads. I said, no, because those conversations that I have actually helps me better understand how people think about their business. Like I've got some people who come to, no, I don't need to exit. I'm not going to retire. Right away, I know people equate exit means retirement and retirement means death. Okay, so let me build. And the moment I have these conversations, they all get fed into my engine on various AI tools that I use. And I'm building this methodology and this knowledge base inside of how people think, how they perceive, what I think and perceive. Like I don't do prompt like the way everybody talks about. I actually write long prose and tell my AI systems, analyze, build memory, and remember these. And afterwards, I publish them because people have seen I publish a lot of blogs on my website and I write extensively on LinkedIn. And it's all thanks to the ChatGPT and Claude, because I just sit down and I just write down whatever I had heard, what I've been thinking, and they'll structure it for me. And then I edit and play with it. So it's a continuous going, and I do not separate it from lead generation. And this is one of the things that is critical and part of the business framework. I always say to people, there are three things in the business framework which revolves around your life plan. Because the first thing I always say to people, design your life. What is your life plan before your business plan? Once you have figured out, your business is a lot easier to work with. One is the strategic clarity. Where are you going? Because people eventually buy into your future, whether they're your employees, partners, or potential acquirer, or even if it's your next generation who wants to take over the business. Know where you're going. What is that clarity? And that clarity comes, and I always work with my clients, don't just tell me what you do, tell me what you will not do. Because as a strategy consultant, every time I went for a strategy review, the first thing I looked for and said, what are the things they did which was not part of the strategy? That's what kills the resources. Now, when I work with my clients, I say explicitly write down, because those are usually the ones that are the most painful. Stopping something is a lot more difficult. So you got strategic clarity, then focus on selling it. That's why I don't talk about operation. I don't talk about the product, because I always say those are the output of doing the sales. Sales is basically you talking to your customer and testing what you're selling is valid, or what else do they want. And that is where the pivot comes. And that's what drives your product development. That's what drives your processes. That's what drives everything inside the organization. And the third prong is leadership. If you are honest to goodness, want to have a business, you have to have people who are better than you. And this is probably the most painful part of any engagement that I've had. Hire someone who's better than you. If you hire someone who's less than you, you always have a dependency. So that's basically the nutshell of the business freedom framework. And it's like I draw it as a circle. At the core is your life plan, know what you want. Then we go through strategy, clarity, sales growth, and leadership and team. And just we circle around.
I love it. And you talk about how you're taking action by yourself, doing some of the outreach campaigns, some of the listening. You don't let it go. You want to hold it, because what you're doing is like inside your brain, you're constantly evolving the message, you're constantly polishing the way that you will sell things. What are some of the things that you currently do as a coaching business, as a business coach, that are working for you right now, or that are exciting for you because it's actually getting results in generating those meetings?
I think the best conversations that I have, and this is something that it was, because this is one of the things that people ask me and say, are you a consultant or are you a coach? And quite frankly, I got kicked around by both camps. Consultants think I'm too much of a coach. The coaches think I'm too much of a consultant. For that reason, I dropped the misnomer. I always say to the business owners, I said, I am your non-equity partner. I work with you. And the reason for it is some of the decisions that we make in the business, they're driven by our personal ambitions and fears that are completely hidden to us. So, for example, the one that I gave, like the gentleman I sent and said, I read your profile. It's a cold approach on LinkedIn. Let's connect. And if I can help you. And he sends me a very blunt message and said, go away. I don't need help. I don't want to exit. Now, typically that would probably be and say, oh my God, I just said something. I upset somebody. Now I actually lean into these conversations by actually explaining what I think, why exit planning is so important. And I always say to people, good exit planning is good business planning. Because I always say to people, how do you know, like especially now in this day and age that the wars just keep happening, you never know when that exit point comes. Are you ready for it? Or at least, do you know what you are going to do about it? And this is the conversation. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, people still come back or don't answer to me and just say, go away. But sometimes people actually come and engage in the conversation. And that conversation is very important because I have to always have this stick of integrity with me and just says, why did I start this business? To help people. Not every help that I provide is going to generate cash for me. Sometimes when I have this conversation, it is making an impact. So I can sleep and just say, well, I did well. Remember life plan before business plan. Yes, I need to make money. I'm not silly about it to just go gung-ho. But the bigger picture for me was to really helping people look at their business as a source of freedom, not as just a source of cash, not just as something that they have to do, then they're bound to it. So for that reason, those conversations are the ones that actually help me, number one, reflect on my thinking. Number two, really contribute to just getting involved and getting over my fears. Sometimes we don't like to engage in conversations with people who have completely opposite views. And those are the type of things that I think if you have with the non-judgmental coming at serving a bigger purpose that you have, for me, it's to help businesses. And you just say, yeah, sometimes I just get bruised. There's no doubt about it. But the question is getting over those ideas. And that's what the coaching part comes. And then there are tools and techniques, which is bring the consulting part in there. So I blend the two of them together to work on the whole of the business and the whole of the person.
I want to talk about some more practical advice based on experience or based on your framework. Because just like you said, that right now, that's not the right time for you to delegate marketing, right? Because those calls are so strategic. As the business owner, you need those conversations you need to be there in the room. You need to be in the room where it happens to actually learn from it and improve your offering because you're in startup mode. But at what point do you actually start to implement more steps? Because eventually, if you are exiting, you won't be doing the outreach, right? Someone else will do the outreach. So how long would a business coach think into the future for their exit strategy? Is there a guideline? Is it like, oh, my system does it in 3 years, my system does it in 5 years? Like, where do we stand on that?
The best analogy that I can use is the idea of a compass. And I always say, one of my mentors once said to me, and said, when you have a compass, it's pointing to the North Pole, but you're not going to the North Pole. You're just going to the next street in the direction of the North Pole. And this is the contention that business owners facing. You have to have, like some people come to me and say, Homy, I'm not ready for business exit. I'm doing everything. I know I shouldn't. That's fine. The moment you realize that point of realization that right now you are the business, but the North Pole is the business is on its own. As you just mentioned about at the beginning, you need to understand people. The way for you to understand, go on sales call, go on marketing calls. But eventually there will be a system that will create that, not just for you, for the entire organization. So the organization understands how to listen to the customers, how to converse with the customers, how to develop products, how to service the customers. But that is the North Pole. Right now, point zero is that you are your business. I am my business, so I have to do it. But I know eventually. So the idea is first getting people to realize those two and then start having plan. Because I always say to people, because people say to me and say, well, isn't planning going to take us our spontaneity? I usually say to people, if you look at the best business cases in the business schools that they tell you, they had great plans and they abandoned it and pivoted. Planning actually allows you to be spontaneous. So that's one of the key things. And not every goal will be achieved, but sometimes not achieving a goal allows you to go after other things that are as important as valid for you for your business.
I love it. And a lot of times failing to achieve a goal, it actually gives you the gift of clarity. And that clarity is what helps you to choose your next goal more successfully. And it's not about, what I understand from your answer is that it's not about the framework will get you in this many years to the exit point, because it's more of a compass and each person needs to go towards that direction, knowing that there will be many safe havens in the way where they can relook at things. I want to ask you though, the way I think about exiting, there's like the classic exit would be to build a business and then sell the business. A second type of exit that I think you help people with even more and focus on is you've built a business and now you have freedom to adjust what you do in the business, to even walk away from your role as a CEO or from your role as the lead coach or from you can decide what is your role in the business, and even basically the business, you're the owner of the business. You become only an owner. That's an exit strategy from CEO and boots on the ground type of work all the way up to I'm just the owner. I just look at you people do all of the things that I've built. That's a second exit strategy. Is there any other type of exits that are, because some people, the business coaches, they don't necessarily are at a place where they can even imagine that they will have enough money to pay for the team that are better than they are, and that they will have They have a framework, they are still building it. They can't even fathom a situation where the exit is, I've built a machine that is like working like clockwork, like Mike YWH clockwork philosophy. So is there any other type of exit? That's what I'm asking.
It is a very good question because people always ask me and just, well, I don't fall into your category. I do nod to people that services businesses. I was a consultant. I was subject to M&A activities. And I know how difficult it is because the services businesses are typically very difficult to value if you're an investment banker. And the value can be very fleeting in a services business. And I particularly say about the consulting, and I work with the legal firms that they have the same thing. And my answer always is services don't have intrinsic value because they are attached to the person. However, the methods become the products. In other words, that's one of the reasons as a coach, that's why I developed the business freedom framework. Somebody else can do it. It doesn't have to be me. The only thing that I ask myself, I say, who do I think can do this better than me? Identifying that is a system. That is what's the crucial part is. Building those things into products. The product doesn't have to be something tangible. It's something to be more like algorithm that people can just go through and do it. That is, and do you know who you can identify? Like, for example, when I work with my client, a lot of times they say to me, I need to hire a salesperson. I said, what do you need a salesperson? Oh, somebody who can just do magically. No, because you're creating dependency. Build the sales process. Oh, I don't know how to build a sales process. Good. Go get a consultant to help you build the process. Then find there should be a large volume of candidates who can do that process for you. That's how your system becomes something that is beyond you. Because this is the thing that scares everybody. At one point, your business should be bigger than you, because otherwise you didn't build anything. You just exaggerated your capabilities. The business should be more of you. So at some point, you will be exiting. As you mentioned, you either hire a CEO, you take a different role, because this is one of the things that I want to highlight. I have worked with people who just stepped down from their role as quote unquote the CEO, but they have integral role in the business. There are people who have said, look, I think my business can change the world, but in order to do that, somebody has to bring money and another CEO to run it. They partially sell the business and bring a CEO, so they've moved to the side. So there are lots of different ways, but it all comes back to your life plan. What it is that you want. Do you just want a pot of cash? That's one way of looking at it. Or do you want this business to have a legacy for you? People have different, and there is no right or wrong. Like some people come to me, like I work with an accountant, just says, I don't have an exit. I just want to work. I said, great. Then make sure you take enough cash to generate money outside of it. And when I was talking, he says, look, what do you mean? I said, go buy a commercial real estate. Put your money in there. Do your business, but when you stop your business, the commercial real estate will start generating cash for you, if that is what you want. And no, you don't need any coaching from me or anything. Get a financial advisor who can help you. It doesn't have to be a business coach. The idea is that we look at the business, how it provides, how does it support our freedom, whatever freedom is to you. For some people is lots of cash. For some people is the idea that they can do what they like to do. For some people is that they're changing the world. There is no right or wrong answer. It's your answer.
I love this. So people have more than one exit opportunity. There's actually several ways to exit. You could exit by actually selling a business. You can exit by stepping out of your role in the business. But you can also exit by productize your business, make it into a product, make your knowledge, your service into a product through processes and through SOPs and through systems and tools that are transformational, that works, even if you're not the one that is operating them. And then once you have the product, and it's not just inside your brain, you could teach that product, you could hire people to do that product, you could hire people that are more affordable to do that product and so on. Just like with sales, you need a consultant to build the process, then you need a salesperson, not the other way around. And then also, there's always the exit of put enough money aside so you could have an investment in stock market, in real estate, something that can generate money for you when you're exiting, when you're stopping. So there's like many ways to exit successfully in a way. What I like, the best part I like about this is to create a product of your knowledge, because I think that's an easier pill to swallow. That's like not as scary as how am I going to make so much money to afford these people? Don't focus on that. Focus on understanding that you have to innovate, have to create results. You have to build up your systems and your knowledge base. And the knowledge base might be huge. It might be that you facilitate a lot of different skills and a lot of different things that your clients need. But by building your frameworks and making it into a product, you are going with the right compass towards the direction of being able to exit one day. And I want to touch one more point about that exit strategy, because you live and breathe this framework. So I want to ask you about the money side of things. So obviously, it's easier to implement an exit if your business is bigger, right? Because you can afford hiring the teams and whatnot. What's your intuition or your guidelines about that? Like, is there some formula to calculate when to start to move into a more advanced exit strategy? Or is there some guidelines like from experience of, I helped this company do this type of an exit, but we had to first get to this goal in income or in sales or in profit. So are there some guidelines on that?
There's no concrete, like, I know it sounds like the cliche, the consulting answer, it all depends. But there are certain signs I always look at. The first sign is when your business has a degree of repeatability of its revenue. So I always say to people, if you are selling the same thing to a certain group of customers that you can identify, in 3 years, you are ready for exit planning to get really serious about it. If you're not there, you should, as part of the exit planning, you plan for those customers and that revenue. Because I always say, people who come to buy your business, think about it from an investor's perspective. They just say, can I grow that? Because that's how they're willing to pay you, because of its future promise, not its past performance. And this is one of the things that a lot of time business owners say to me, and say, they look to the past. I said, past is in your bank account. Nobody cares about it. It's the future. The moment you say, I have this group of customers who buy this product and I get this much money with this margin, you are ready for an exit conversation. That's a good sign. And my job is to help them grow that so the value of the business goes up. Because people come to me and say, what is the ROI of your coaching? I just said, simple, your valuation goes up. If it doesn't, I didn't do a good job. That's the only thing that I can have. And it is that I help you, the value of your business goes up. Now, this is very crucial because I've talked to a lot of business owners. They keep pointing to their revenue and I keep pointing to the valuation of their company. I said, don't worry about the revenue. Revenue is important, but does not generate valuation. Look at the valuation of your company. Is the valuation goes up or does it go down? And I said, when you look at the startups, I have been involved with some of the startups. I have seen, I've read, I've done research, I've talked to investors. They value some of these startups astronomical numbers. I worked with 3 kids out of university who were starting this business. They generated 50,000 pounds of revenue per year, but their business was valued at 3.5 million. The reason was the trajectory was there. And eventually they were very good because they asked me, Homy, what should we do? I said, you're young. What is your life plan? What do you want? And they all unanimously said, we want cash so we can move to America. Great. All of a sudden, somebody shows up and says, I'm going to pay you $3 million. They said, great. They take the cash, they leave.
Wow.
But this is the point. They had a very clear customer and they had a very clear potential for generating revenue that other people could see. This is what's important. People from the outside should be able to see it. And I warn people, make sure what they see, you also see. Otherwise, you have the vulture capitals coming after you because they see something you don't. So that is the big signal. The moment you can say, my customer, their need, my product at this price. These are the 4 things. If you can answer this with clarity and you have data to back it up, you're ready on your way for the exit, meaning your business will support your freedom.
So I love it. I take 2 things from this. One is that by what we call micro-niching, you can actually find your clients. You have to have the understanding of who is your customer, because this is one of the 4 things that will affect your evaluations. So don't be afraid to micro-niche. Don't be afraid to go after a specific client, and because that will mean you've solved so many problems that a predictable business needs to solve. And the second thing, which I think is really a part of the compass that we've mentioned before, is to ask yourself, what would be your evaluation of your company? And thinking about your evaluation, which is something that requires understanding of the industry, understanding of the market, understanding of business, understanding of technology, innovation, and so on and so forth. But if someone would come into your business and evaluate your business, what would they say? What can you do that will make that evaluation slowly go up? It's not a magic trick where in a minute, oh, so I'll do this and boom, now the evaluation is higher. It's a process with many, many decisions to be made that builds up the ability of someone from the outside to see what you see and say, so I'm going to evaluate you now, not as $500,000, but as $1 million, or not as $1 million, but $3 million, and so on and so forth. I love it. Homy Dayani-Fard, this has been such a pleasure to look into the different exit strategies and the creation of a compass that will guide you towards your freedom, whatever it is that you want as freedom. Where can people learn more about your work and your processes, and even get in touch with you in case they want some support?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, so they can find me, both my company and myself, on LinkedIn. I'm very active. I respond to all my emails personally. I also have my websites, and I always answer to email. So if people need to get a hold of me, I'd be delighted.
And we're going to put in the show notes all of the links to the profile on LinkedIn and the email address and the website. You can go and see the prolific work of Homy Dayani-Fard and how he is expressing opinions and ideas that are worth following and that can inspire you to exit yourself one day. Homy Dayani-Fard, thank you so much for this opportunity to feature your voice here and to share some ideas with you.
Thank you very much, Sid.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening for another episode of Beyond Six Figures.
Thanks for listening to Beyond Six Figures. Check out the extended show notes that include bonus material, practical tips, and exclusive resources on our website, zivraviv.com. Until next time, keep dreaming big and pushing your business and your life beyond six figures.